People often say things like, "I'm too old to start over," or "that's a young man's game," as if life somehow places an expiration date on ambition. But let's stop for a moment and ask ourselves who exactly decided that. Where is it written that at 40 or 50 or 60 your capacity for greatness somehow withers away? It isn't written anywhere. That's the trick of fear, the voice of doubt whispering excuses that make failure feel safe. Age is not a limitation. Age is simply the measure of how long you've been alive, not the measure of what you are capable of. The truth is, life doesn't hand out opportunities based on youth. It hands them out based on courage, persistence, and discipline. You could be 18 years old and already defeated because you've convinced yourself the world is too hard. Or you could be 80 and unstoppable because you refuse to stop learning, stop striving, stop growing. The difference is not age, it's attitude. History itself shows us that success laughs in the face of age. Colonel Sanders built Kentucky Fried Chicken in his 60s after being rejected countless times. Ray Kroc was a traveling milkshake machine salesman before he turned McDonald's into a global empire at an age when most people were planning retirement. Think of Nelson Mandela, who walked out of prison after 27 years and didn't say, "It's too late." No, he became the president of South Africa. What unites these people isn't youth, it's resilience. They didn't see age as a wall, they saw it as a ladder. And that ladder is available to you too. But what stops most people is not the body getting old. It's the spirit becoming complacent. When we're young, we expect growth, we expect change, we dream big because the future feels infinite. But as the years pass, the average person begins to shrink their vision. They trade ambition for comfort, possibility for excuses. They start repeating lines like, "If only I were younger, if only I had started earlier." That way of thinking is poison because it convinces you that the best part of your life has already passed, when in reality it may still be waiting for you to claim it. Every single day you wake up, you are still alive, and that means you are still in the game. You still have the opportunity to add to your story, to reshape the narrative of who you are. Your age does not disqualify you, it qualifies you, because you have lived, you have experienced, you have endured. All of those years have built wisdom, and wisdom is one of the most valuable tools in the pursuit of success. But only if you use it, so the question is not whether you're too old. The question is whether you're willing to take responsibility for today, to refuse the easy comfort of excuses, and to step forward into growth regardless of the number on your birth certificate. Age can be your excuse, or it can be your fuel. And the difference lies in whether you choose to see yourself as finished, or as someone still becoming. Success has no age limit. There are only people who gave up too early, and those who refused to quit. Which one will you be? People often imagine success as a grand event, some life-changing moment where everything suddenly comes together and their lives are transformed overnight. That illusion is one of the reasons so many people never make it. They keep waiting for lightning to strike, for luck to appear, for the perfect opportunity to fall into their hands. But the reality is much less glamorous and far more demanding. Success is not a sudden explosion, it is a slow accumulation. It's built piece by piece, habit by habit, decision by decision. When you choose to improve yourself daily, even in small ways, you are laying down bricks for a foundation that no storm can tear apart. Growth may feel imperceptible in the moment. You might wake up, do the work, and wonder if it even mattered. But the truth is, every repetition compounds. Just as a muscle grows from tiny fibers, tearing and repairing, your character, your discipline, your skill, and your resilience are strengthened by those small, consistent acts of effort. Think about water dripping on a stone. 1 drop doesn't do much. 10 drops don't make a difference. But given enough time, the persistence of water can carve through rock. That's the power of daily growth. It wears down excuses, it cuts through fear, and it reshapes your very identity until you can no longer recognize the weak, hesitant version of yourself you used to be. Most people underestimate the compounding effect of consistent action. They overestimate what they can achieve in a week and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. That's why so many start a new path with energy and excitement, but abandon it when results don't appear instantly. They mistake slow progress for no progress, but the person who understands the power of compounding knows that daily growth is not about speed, it's about permanence. Fast results fade. Slow, steady progress creates a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. And the beauty of this principle is that it doesn't care about your age, your background, or your past failures. Anyone at any stage of life can commit to daily improvement. A 15-year-old learning discipline today is building a life of strength tomorrow. A 50-year-old deciding to reinvent themselves is building a new chapter that will outshine everything that came before. The foundation doesn't care when you start. It only cares that you keep building, but you have to take it seriously. Because every day you don't grow, you're not standing still. You're sliding backward. Life doesn't pause for you. You're either strengthening your foundation, or you're letting it erode. And the tragedy is that too many people live as if they have endless time, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. They say, I'll start next week, next month, next year. And then one day they look back and realize the years are gone, and the foundation they should have built was never laid. So the call is simple. Start now. Start small if you must, but start. Read one page. Do one push-up. Have one meaningful conversation. Make one decision that moves you closer to the person you want to be. And then repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Before long, you will not just have habits. You will have transformed your very identity. Daily growth is the most powerful investment you can make because it cannot be taken away from you. When you commit to it, you become unshakable. You build a foundation that not only supports you in achieving success, but also sustains you when life inevitably tests your strength. And once that foundation is in place, you are unstoppable. One of the greatest tragedies of human life is how quickly people allow themselves to be defined by their past. They carry their failures like shackles, repeating the same stories. This is just who I am. This is the way I've always been. As though the person they were yesterday must dictate who they are today, or who they might become tomorrow. But that's a lie. Reinvention is always possible, and it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 70. The capacity to transform yourself exists as long as you are breathing. But reinvention demands courage. It means facing the uncomfortable truth that the person you've been may not be the person you need to be. It requires admitting that certain habits, certain ways of thinking, certain relationships, and even certain dreams must be let go of if you are going to move forward. Most people avoid this because they cling to what is familiar, even if it's destroying them. They prefer the safety of misery over the risk of possibility. The reality is that you are not chained to your past. The mistakes you made, the time you wasted, the opportunities you lost. Those don't have to be the final word on your story. Every day offers a chance to write a new page. The problem is that people don't see themselves as authors. They see themselves as victims. Victims of circumstance, victims of age, victims of their own history. But once you recognize that reinvention is a choice, everything changes. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And instead ask, who can I become now? Consider the countless examples of people who decided to reinvent themselves when the world would have told them it was too late. Anna Mary Robertson Moses, better known as Grandma Moses, began painting seriously in her late 70s after arthritis forced her to give up embroidery. She went on to become one of the most celebrated artists of the 20th century. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was in her 40s. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his first major movie role until he was over 40. None of them said, "I missed my chance." They said, "My chance begins now." And that decision, to reinvent rather than surrender, is why we remember them. Reinvention isn't about denying your past. It's about refusing to be imprisoned by it. It's about looking at yourself honestly and saying, "The person I've been is not the limit of the person I can be." That takes humility because it means admitting you don't know everything. It means being willing to learn again, to be a beginner again, to stumble and look foolish again. But think of the alternative. Think of the cost of never trying, of allowing the fear of discomfort to keep you trapped in a life that doesn't reflect your potential. That is a far greater tragedy than the risk of failure. Reinvention is not reserved for the extraordinary. It is available to anyone who decides they are no longer willing to accept mediocrity in their own life. It begins with a single choice: to stop excusing yourself, to stop surrendering to the narrative of too late, and to step into the unknown. And when you do, you discover something remarkable, that the act of reinventing yourself doesn't just change what you do, it changes how you see yourself. Suddenly, you are no longer defined by what you couldn't do yesterday. You are defined by what you are daring to do today. At any stage of life, you can begin again, and the moment you accept that, you become free. Free to grow, free to create, free to become the person you were always meant to be. That freedom is yours right now, if you're willing to claim it. Motivation is a beautiful thing. When it's there, it feels like fuel in your veins, like a fire pushing you forward. But the problem is, motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it wants to, when circumstances align, when you feel inspired or excited. And the moment life gets heavy, the moment things become inconvenient, motivation disappears. You cannot build your life on a foundation that comes and goes with your emotions. If you wait to act until you feel motivated, you'll accomplish very little. That's why discipline matters more. Discipline is what remains when motivation leaves. Discipline is the decision to do the work, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. It's the quiet strength of keeping a promise to yourself. And when you live with discipline, your life no longer depends on fleeting feelings. It depends on principles, on habits, on structure. That is far more powerful than waiting for a spark of inspiration. Think about the difference between the person who relies on motivation and the person who relies on discipline. The first wakes up, asks themselves how they feel, and lets that dictate their actions. If they're tired, they stay in bed. If they're discouraged, they quit early. Their life is governed by mood. The second wakes up and doesn't ask how they feel. They remind themselves of who they are. If it's time to work, they work. If it's time to train, they train. And over time, that consistency creates results that are undeniable. Discipline makes them dependable, both to themselves and to others. This is why so many talented people fall short, while seemingly ordinary people succeed. Talent may give you a head start, motivation may carry you for a while, but without discipline, it all collapses. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. Motivation without discipline is a firework bright for a moment, but gone in an instant. But discipline, even without natural talent or bursts of excitement, produces greatness because it multiplies whatever little you begin with into something extraordinary over time. And discipline isn't about being harsh or rigid with yourself, it's about freedom. The person without discipline is a slave to their feelings, to their appetites, to their excuses. They say, "I'll do it tomorrow." but tomorrow never comes. The disciplined person, on the other hand, is free. Free from the chaos of procrastination, free from the regret of missed opportunities, free from the guilt of knowing they could have done more but didn't. Discipline builds that freedom brick by brick through small, consistent actions. It's worth recognizing, too, that discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you train like a muscle. At first it feels uncomfortable. You don't want to get out of bed early. You don't want to face the work when it's tedious. But every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen it. And eventually, what was once difficult becomes natural. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. That identity is priceless, because once you see yourself as disciplined, you carry that strength into every area of your life. The truth is simple. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline will carry you through the storms. When you rely on it, you don't need to wait for the right mood, the right opportunity, or the perfect conditions. You already have the structure inside you to keep moving forward, and in the end, that is what separates those who dream of success from those who achieve it. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. Build that bridge, walk across it every day, and there will be no limit to what you can accomplish. No matter how strong your will is, no matter how clear your vision may be, you cannot underestimate the power of the environment you place yourself in. Human beings are deeply influenced by the people and the atmosphere around them, often far more than we like to admit. You might think you're immune, that you can walk through negativity untouched, but slowly, subtly, it seeps into you. And if you are not careful, the excuses of others become your own. Spend enough time around people who complain, and you'll start complaining. Spend enough time around people who settle, and you'll start lowering your standards. This isn't weakness. It's how human beings are wired. We absorb the norms of the groups we inhabit. That's why it's absolutely essential to surround yourself with growth, not excuses. Because whether you like it or not, your environment is either lifting you higher or pulling you down. There is no neutrality. Think about it like this. If you want to climb a mountain, do you surround yourself with people who say, "It's too hard, let's stay at the bottom"? Or with those who say, "Keep climbing, we'll make it together"? The choice sounds obvious, yet in real life, most people don't make it. They tolerate relationships, friendships, and circles that actively work against their potential. They convince themselves they're being loyal, or that it's not such a big deal, all while their spirit is being dragged into mediocrity. You have to be brutally honest about the people around you. Do they challenge you, or do they comfort you into staying small? Do they celebrate your growth, or do they resent it because it exposes their lack of effort? Do they speak possibility, or do they preach excuses? These are not trivial questions. They are the difference between living a life of progress or stagnation. Because no matter how determined you are, if you are constantly surrounded by people feeding you doubt and limitations, you will begin to believe them. On the other hand, when you intentionally place yourself in environments of growth, everything shifts. Being around people who push themselves forces you to elevate. You can't help but absorb some of that energy. When the standard of the group is excellence, you feel uncomfortable settling for less. Their ambition sharpens yours. Their courage reminds you of your own, and their discipline shows you what's possible. Growth environments don't let you stay the same, they demand more of you. And that is exactly what you need if you want to live a life that rises above the ordinary. It's important to understand, too, that choosing growth doesn't mean surrounding yourself with perfect people. It means surrounding yourself with people who are moving forward, who are committed to becoming better, who refuse to live by excuses. They may not be where they want to be yet, but they are on the path, and the path itself, walked together, strengthens everyone on it. Of course, this choice comes with sacrifice. It might mean leaving behind old friendships that no longer align with the person you're trying to become. It might mean disappointing people who prefer the old version of you, the one who kept them comfortable. But ask yourself, is it better to disappoint others or to betray yourself? Because every time you choose excuses over growth, that's exactly what you're doing, betraying your own potential. If you want to rise, you cannot carry the weight of those who refuse to climb. Surround yourself with growth, and you'll grow. Surround yourself with excuses, and you'll shrink. The decision is yours, and it will shape the entire direction of your life. So many people speak of success as though it's a final place, a mountain peak where you arrive, plant your flag and never have to climb again. That's the illusion that keeps people chasing endlessly, always looking for the day when life will feel complete, when they can finally rest and say, I've made it. But real success doesn't work like that. Success isn't a destination. It's a way of being, a way of living, a way of carrying yourself through each moment of your existence. Think about it. If success were just a destination, what happens the day after you get there? You've earned the money, you've built the career, you've achieved the goal, then what? If your identity isn't built on growth, you start to collapse. You see it all the time. People who worked relentlessly for years to reach a milestone only to fall into emptiness once they achieved it. The victory feels hollow because they thought success was a finish line, but the truth is, success is not something you achieve once. It's something you practice daily. It's about who you become in the process. It's about living in alignment with discipline, integrity, and purpose, no matter where you are on the path. When you understand that success is an identity, you stop asking, when will I arrive? And you start asking, how am I showing up today? That shift changes everything, because then it's not about waiting for some future moment to validate you. It's about recognizing that every step, every choice, every effort is success in motion. And this matters because life will not move in a straight line. You will face setbacks. You will fail. You will lose things you thought you could never live without. If success were a destination, those moments would destroy you. But if success is your identity, those moments don't take it away from you, they refine it. You might stumble, but you do not stop. You might get knocked down, but you rise again because that is who you are. Success is not what you own, it's what you embody. The people who inspire us most are not the ones who had a smooth path. They're the ones who made success their identity, no matter the circumstance. They didn't let defeat define them, and they didn't let achievement make them complacent. They kept moving, kept building, kept striving, because their aim was not to arrive at some final point. It was to live a life of meaning, growth, and contribution until their last breath. And this is the invitation for you. Stop measuring yourself by how far you have to go or how much time has passed. Start asking yourself, am I living as the kind of person who is committed to becoming better every single day? Am I showing up with discipline, with courage, with integrity? If the answer is yes, then you are already successful, because success is not out there somewhere in the future. It's in who you choose to be right now. This is why age doesn't matter. This is why setbacks don't define you. Because as long as you're alive, you can choose to align yourself with growth. You can choose to live success rather than chase it. That choice, repeated daily, becomes your identity. And once it's your identity, nothing can take it from you. Success is not a place you reach. It is the person you become. And if you decide here and now to live as that person each day, then you will have achieved the only success that truly matters, the kind that cannot be lost. We've walked through the truth that Success isn't bound by age, that it is built one day at a time, that you can reinvent yourself whenever you choose, that discipline carries you further than fleeting bursts of motivation, that people around you shape your path more than you realize, and that real success is not a finish line, but an identity you choose to live by. All of these ideas point to one central fact: you are not finished. No matter where you stand right now, no matter how much time has passed, no matter what you've lost or how many times you've stumbled, the opportunity to rise still belongs to you. Life will never stop testing you. It will never stop presenting you with reasons to quit, to settle, to accept less than what you're capable of. But you have a choice. You can bow to those excuses, or you can decide today, in this very moment, that you are going to live differently, that you are going to work on yourself daily, build habits that shape you into someone stronger, and carry yourself as a person who refuses to give up on their potential. The world does not need more people waiting for permission to live. It needs people who understand that success has no age, that greatness can be claimed at any stage, and that the only limit is the one you accept for yourself. So stand up. Choose growth over excuses. Choose discipline over comfort. Choose to reinvent yourself if you must. And above all, choose to live as if success is not something distant, but something you embody in the way you live each and every day. Because if you do that, you will not only achieve success, you will become it.